Hey everybody, Nick here, and this morning we got a little disassembly for you of this guy. This is the Southard Knives Avo. Very interesting little knife here, and I want to thank very much my buddy John for sending this little guy along. This is sort of another mid-tech knife, which is just means small batch production. That's done directly by Brad Southard. So I reviewed the Tolk previously on the channel, and so today we're going to take a look at the Avo, its little brother. So let's take this little guy apart. Looks like T8 for the pivot screw here. Beautiful. Pop this out. Nice beefy pivot. There we go. And I probably should have the blade put away, but whatever. Hopefully, yeah, these are T8 as well. Beautiful. One consistent flavor of fastener always brings me some joy. What the heck is going on with this? Well, that's interesting. Is this a Chicago screw, or is it just unscrewing itself? So I'm getting it popping out on both sides here. Let's keep on going. Come on. You can go loose. Relax. Loosen up there, bro. Just call the screw bro. As you can tell, it's profoundly early in the morning. You may not be able to tell that, but it is. It is almost 8 a.m., which may not be profoundly early in the morning for some people, but by God, for me, it feels that way. So that explains why screws have become bro. Perhaps I will refer to the pivot as fam, just for fun. Well, that was straightforward. Okay, let's take this little guy apart here. See what's making it tick. Oh, this is dirty. Oh, this is dirty. Dirty, dirty, dirty. And that's okay. That's why I'm here. Pop this little screw out there just so I don't lose it. And its backspace, a friend, can go there. Beautiful. Got ourselves a stop pin. We got ourselves a pivot. Oh, this is grody. This is going to be excellent. Pop that out. And where do we even start? Mind you, my standards for a knife being relatively dirty are pretty low. Because usually I keep my knives, well, suspiciously clean. Let's just put it that way. I'm going to go ahead and fold this up and then try and use it to clean the inside of the detent track here. There we go. Beautiful. Not that it's, terribly gross in there, but always not a bad idea to pop that out. There we go. See right here, we've got some gunk inside the bearing race. This knife should run a fair bit better once I'm done with it here this morning. And again, that's always a nice thing. If I can offer that to my viewers who are kind enough to loan me gear, they get the knife back in a happier condition, then by God, that's something I want to be able to do. Alrighty. Come on. Just trying to pop this bearing free. What we can see here is that there's evidence of some prior grease or something they used that was just a little too thick. And that's, well, going to have certain troubles associated with it. Come over here. This little tool is a watch spring bar tool, but it is spectacular for using with knives. There we go. Just needed to get up under that bearing. Now I'm going to go ahead and clean the bearing race on this side as well, because it too is disgusting. Clean that out in there. Let's continue the degunking process here. There's something going on up on the lock bar here. This could just be, could it be Sharpie? Whatever it is, no problem. So I don't know if you can hear that little bit of in the background there, but we've got ourselves some sort of a woodpecker or a nuthatch or something along those lines that's decided that the side of the place is a really great place to do its pecking practice. It's a pocket pecker, if you will. Except it's not in the pocket. It's a siding pecker. So, if you're hearing that, that's what's going on. To the best of my knowledge, I don't have any Tommy knockers. Although that would be pretty interesting, given that I don't live in a mine. All right, that's an obscure reference to start off your morning. Moving it right along here. Pivot is clean. All right, the interior of the knife is clean. One thing I'll highlight here real quick is that you got this little bit of writing right here. Got Southard Knives Avo 3001, then what appears to be a serial number. So that's nice. And then over travel stop up here. There's no need to remove that for a cleaning. Knife is straightforwardly put together here. Then I'm going to go ahead and use a new fabric swatch just because, well, actually, what I'm going to do, here we go. So I'm going to take this little piece of fabric. This is actually meant for cleaning guns, this little swatch, but I'm using it here for knives, quite obviously. But they're nice because they don't shred, they don't fall apart, etc. And I'm just going to use it to kind of clean the bearing here. And you can see already that we've removed the residue of whatever was on there. Hopefully that was already kind of out of the action, but it's a good thing for it to be further gone. And so I'm just kind of cleaning this off here. The nice part about this surface is that there's actually 2 layers of sort of a foamy contact paper here, and that gives a little bit of concavity to this. If I press down, the bearings can press down a little bit and fall into that, and allows the whole thing to just be much smoother, as opposed to if I was working on glass or something like that, where it could be, wouldn't be a whole bunch of give to it. Let's take a look at the inside. Come on now. Take a look at the inside here. Looks to be mostly clean up inside there, but I'm now going to switch to a different swatch just to make sure I remove the last of whatever's in there. Because again, I want to try and get whatever performance I can back out of these, despite previous oiling choices. There we go. One thing also to note is that this knife has been reblasted, apparently. That somebody else had mistreated it in the past, and so this isn't exactly the factory finish. I'll mention that in the full review, but yeah, it shouldn't actually pertain too much to what we're doing here. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this little guy back together here. I'm seeing some evidence of a thread locker. Looks like a blue Loctite. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this guy through, and then drop it into this little backspacer guy. And while I'm here, I'm just going to tighten this side down specifically. Next thing I'm going to do is slide our pivot through. For this disassembly, I'm going to use some 10-weight nano oil. That should bring every little bit, last drop of performance out of this. But you could also be using like a Dewa reel oil. You could also be using potentially even a thicker oil, if you're not as concerned about the drop shot attitude. And put a little bit on the bearing race here. Drop in the bearing. And I'm just going to rotate that bearing slightly using the oiler tip here, just to make sure everything's distributed. A little on the tent ball. Oh. Trying to decide whether that's gunk or just... That appears to just be the fact of life. This is probably how Brad Southard was adjusting the detent here. Pardon me, by deepening that hole slightly. So, whatever. Place a little bit of the oil along the detent ball path here and spread it out with the side of the applicator. Go ahead and drop the stop pin right back into here. There we go. Beautiful. There's Just that. Get that nicely rotated. Distribute all that oil. And any other parts missing? No? Okay, cool. Let's put the guy the rest of the way together. So make sure the stop pin is seated. Now I'm going to go ahead and put these back spacer screws in, at least roughly tight. Just so everything is in some modicum of alignment. That's in there. Sorry for the sniffles. Like I said, it's good and early. There's a beautiful sunrise going on over there someplace. Interesting. This is camming over whenever I try, which makes me think things might be subtly out of alignment here, which makes me think I need to disengage the lock bar and do this. Let's try that, shall we? There we go. Now that's in place. Now we just need to drop in the pivot. Go ahead and do that right here. I'm going to clean the threads real quick. That's a little grody. There we go. Beautiful. This knife seems to be relatively straightforward, which is a beautiful thing. I am always game for a simple thing done well. And so far I see no evidence of it being done anything but well. Unlike the Tolk, there's not a huge amount of interior milling, but that's okay. Let's see here. I bet this is a little too tight. I back it off a little bit. Nice. No blade play. I bet I can... Centering isn't quite there. Interesting. So this guy is meant to be run at full tightness. Centering is still a little bit off. What I'm wondering is whether these guys are... actually, no, it's the same screw. I'm going to back the tension off of these little guys a little bit here. See if that releases. Yeah. So it was just the case, and I'll go ahead and retension the pivot screw. Yeah, now my centering is a-okay, so I just had some tension in there. Tighten this down a little bit more. Beautiful. It really does need to be at full tension to be centered. All righty. Huh, interesting. Back these off a little bit. Yeah. Very interesting. So apparently you need to tension the pivot screw fully and then tighten those guys down. Whatever. Works out. Well, anyways, the action on this knife is now very, very nice. Everything appears to be in good condition, centered and whatnot. And the knife is put back together and is frankly running a little bit smoother. So there we go. Hope this was interesting to you and that you have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.